Hello, welcome to Sicily. We are here with our new home called Masu, which is here behind us. We are in a place called Termini Imersi, which is a little bit further down the coast from Palermo.
So here in Termini Imersi, we've been here for about 4 weeks. We're still waiting on Australian authorities to return all the paperwork. First lot got lost. So we've had an extended stay in the marina. We can't leave until we've got the paperwork, but that's expected here early next week.
Our new boat is a Moody 40, which we bought from a fellow Australian. And we've been here last couple of weeks fitting it out, ready for our new adventure.
So our Moody 40, as Donna said, is we're fitting it out. It did a bit more work than what we anticipated. Things that didn't get picked up in the survey, but we'll go into that as we go through the boat. But needless to say, we fix one job and find two. So, you know, what they say with boats, bring out another 1,000. Well, that's been pretty true in this instance.
One of the things that we are doing are fitting it out with a lot more solar than what we bought with the boat, which was only 2 small panels behind us. Doesn't produce very much power, not enough for us to live aboard and be on the anchor.
Okay, so these solar panels and batteries, we're actually going with Renogy. Renogy supplies, they're based in Europe, comes out of Germany, but it's been a bit of a fight trying to get this stuff delivered here on Sicily because no one seems to like delivering to the islands. However, the package we're looking at the moment of being able to, we don't have a solar arch, which means we're going to get flexible panels and fit them onto the bimmy, and they should fit nicely, but we can only get 3 175 panels, which is still going to provide us a reasonable bit of power, but we would have preferred to have gone up to 800 watts. We're going with lithium batteries, so we're going to install 3 to 4 100 amp smart lithium batteries, which are self-heating, and then all the chargers and controllers and everything that sort of goes with it. So, but it's a reasonable package from Renogy, but we've just got to get it here to Sicily. 20 watts each, I think they are, and they're just enough to trickle charge and feed, keep the current batteries, the AGM batteries, topped up. But unfortunately, I think one of the AGM batteries is out. We've got 3 of them, and it's just going to take out the other 2 in a short time. So we're going to preempt that with the solar, and hopefully we'll be able to utilise the two other batteries that are going to remain, whereby we can incorporate that as the starting and for bow thruster.
Okay, now that we've shown the outside of our home, we will go down into our boat to show you what our new home looks like.
So this is a Moody 40 centre cockpit boat. Buy more fenders, we're a bit lacking, and we've already encountered some 60 knot plus winds just here in the marina, which have been pretty intense for a 12-hour period in both occasions. There are a centre cockpit, and then as we pan around, we've got an aft cabin. Donna's just pointing our air conditioning there, opened up. We wanted a centre cockpit with an aft cabin because, as you'll see in a minute, the cabin is really spacious. Top sides, we've got a furling head sail and a furling mainsail. Sail's about 2 seasons old. Furl is a bit older, I think it's around about 6 years old, but the sail is in good nick. All the running rigging has been replaced recently, so we're just in the process of giving it all a good wash. In the cabin itself, autopilots, all Ray Marine gear, it's all old, so at some point we're going to have to replace that, but it is functional at the moment, so it's on our list, but it's down the list at the moment. Quick view of some of our neighbours. Some big boats here, some very expensive boats. And just here where this Rosa's, this 48-foot Rosa boat's moored, beside it there's normally a 72-foot sailboat. Looks pretty impressive. And our mate there on his Sunseeker, I think that's about a 52-foot, so it's just a weekend boat. So yeah, it's a nice boat. It's a bit of a fishing village, is Termini Imersi, the marina that is. So the fishermen are all at it. Here's the aft cabin. It's spacious. We can get in from either side. Plenty of headroom inside. Once you get inside, there's plenty of headroom for me. It's a nice, comfortable space to sleep. The bed is very comfortable. Boat also has a heap of storage. And on Donna's side, she's got table and other lockers and drawers and the likes. So one of the things that I don't like about this is the headroom just coming through the aft cabin. And as you can see here, I clunk this with my head. I do knock it in my head. If I forget to duck, bang. And yes, as I walk out, bang, I hit my head again. I don't know whether you can see the marks, but it's sore. I'm walking around like the hunchback. So now we're in the main saloon. There's our there's a chart table over there. Bit of gear, two-way, VHF, switchboard, all in all. Books on, pilot books on different areas of the med, which is handy. We've got a big, huge pile of actual maps, but because Brian, the previous owner, loved traditional navigation. This is our galley, or Donna's galley, and it's got a double fridge, freezer. It's not exactly size of harm. We fixed it last night. It wasn't working very well, but it turned out to be a bad earth. Standard tube burner. Once we get the solar in, we'll probably put a electric hot plate in, whether invection, whatever they're called. And Donna having a snack in the lounge. With our little couch, table area there. Up on the wall there, we hope to try and put a some sort of TV so we can watch YouTube and Netflix and that when we get around to it. And then forward, it's our junk room, our storage room at the moment. We're in the process of packing everything away, but also supplying for our first voyage actually, which we have to leave the marina probably in about 15 days and head to Tunisia. So we're stocking up with food supplies and sorting out where to pack it all away. So hopefully all this room in here will be all cleaned up and the lights. And then to the left here we've got a shower come toilet. And then as we look through, we move through the boat to the rear of the boat to the stern. Got my engine down there, the MD22. Done a fair bit of work on it to make sure it's all up and running, and Mickey Mouse for our journey should we need it. And then this here is Donna's ensuite. You see it's got a separate shower and toilet, which is one of the other positive things that we liked about this particular boat. So that's about it for a quick tour of the boat. As you can imagine, we're still very excited about the prospect of doing a big adventure around the Mediterranean. But it's just been a case of hurry up and wait since the start of April. The courier got the documents lost in Sydney, so we had to reapply, and that's all just taken time, effort, more money, more trips into Paloma. The documents are now back in Sicily at Paloma. We just got to get them delivered to the marina office, and then we are able to actually move the boat.
One of the things here is there are a lot of stray cats like there were in Greece. I've got behind me cat food. If I see some, I will give them some food, and I'm not the only one. A lot of the other boaties, a lot of the locals, they are well fed.
So I mentioned that when we bought the boat, we had a full survey. We had a very good surveyor go over the boat, and he spent all day, literally all day, probably 10 hours checking over the boat. But there were a few things that he just missed, or it wasn't obvious at the time. They were things like the batteries. I picked out that one of the batteries is a bit dodgy. The anchor chain, I think we're going to have to replace. Got a bit of corrosion on it, and the other thing was that in the documents it said that the anchor chain was 80 meters long, which we thought was great, but it's actually 80 meters. We're going to replace the chain on that. The anchor is the other issue. The surveyor did pick out, said it's a bit small. We should increase the size, so we're going to go up to a 25 kilo anchor. Not quite sure which, but we lean towards a spade anchor, which we will try and acquire when we're in Tunisia, because that's where they're manufactured. Okay, so one of the other things that we detected early in the piece was the water heater wasn't working, but we thought it was an electrical issue, but it actually turned out to be far worse than that. had a couple of tiny little cracks in it, which we tried to block up with self-tappers, but that didn't work. Still leaked into the bilge, and as such we want a dry bilge, and one of the surveyor's recommendations was to have a dry bilge. And so anyway, we ended up buying another hot water service, exactly the same hot water service from the UK, and that just opened up a hornet's nest of import issues between Europe and UK, which took a bit of resolving. However, that's been sort of done. We also had to replace the toilet, all the pumps on the toilets. They were old, probably hadn't been done since the boat was new. The other thing was we had to replace a couple of water pumps. One failed on the survey, and then installed another one for the water pressure. So anyway, we've sorted out the leaking. We've replaced the hot water service. We don't have any more leaks. We have dry bilges. We've had fans going for the last couple of days drying them out. The only other major thing that doesn't require doing, which we're also waiting on doing before we do leave, are the seacock fittings and through holes. Don't know what they are. They are basically, it's a hole in the boat. It's got a tap on it, and because they're made out of bronze, they can tend to fail. The zinc gets pulled out of the bronze, and the fitting just becomes weak and can snap, and then bingo, your boat can sink. So anyway, we're changing those over. We have to get hauled out again sometime next week or within the next 10 days, and the boatyard is actually going to replace those fittings for us. Although I can do it, I think it'd be more of an insurance issue down the track. So the other thing, of course, is the solar install. Well, we're just going to buy all the solar stuff and stuff it in the front cabin whilst we figure out when and where we're going to install it, but we just need to have those bits and pieces on board.
Due to our visa, we will have to leave here probably 12th, latest the 15th of June, which will then give us 2 weeks, or just over 2 weeks, to get out of the Europe area. Our destination is going to be Tunisia. I reckon it will probably take us 4 or 5 days, doing it slowly, so that we can learn how to use the boat.
Okay, like Donna just said, yeah, we're heading out around about the 12th, 13th, 14th of June. We need a good 2-week window to get to Tunisia. Possibility of inclement weather along the way, mainly winds. Winds get here very, very strong. So we need to sort of just hop along between little islands. Our biggest passage, I think, we're either going to go to Malta and sail across from Malta, which will involve, from Malta to Tunisia, will involve an overnight passage. We can't do it in a day. It's around about 30-hour passage. Or we will go to one of the outer islands of smaller islands, our Italian territory, and then cross over to Tunisia territorial waters from there. But once again, it's still a long passage. So that's why we're sort of making sure everything's up to scratch.
My main thing with the boat was to make sure that all our safety equipment was up to scratch. We knew how to use it, so therefore we've checked our life jackets, put them on, made sure they're all working. We've gone out and had a look at the boat, that if we do have to abandon, we chuck this little boat out and it inflates.
That's the life raft, guys.
Yeah, and then we jump into it until somebody comes and rescues us. Hopefully it won't happen, but just in case, so I know what I need to do. When we can finally move this boat, well, Nigel's going to have to teach me how to do recovery, just in case he jumps overboard.
We've gone through all the safety gear. I had to replace a fair bit of it just for our own peace of mind. We've got electronic flares rather than normal flares. The life raft, because we're in the Med, there's plenty of traffic here, so should something happen, there's plenty of boats that can swing by. And we've also replaced all the fire extinguishers within the boat, and have a plan of how to abandon boat in case of fire. End this now. Sayonara, everyone. Auf Wiedersehen, goodbye. See you later.
See you later. From
And
Sicily.
I'm watching you, Geordie. I'm watching you, mate.